So let's do a quick round of introduction. I am Ovro. I mainly lead the community in Databutton, and we have a very new person who joined Databutton this week. It's Milo slash Emil.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Milo. I joined Databutton a week ago to mainly work on word of mouth and influencers and stuff. So I'm so excited to be here.
It's fantastic to have Emil with us. Okay, so we have a very special guest with a very cool app which he's already building in Databutton and already shipped it. So great to have you with us, Jason. And Jason has been building with Databutton for almost 3 to 4 months, or
Yeah, three,
even
4 months, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So Jason, please go ahead and just give a quick intro.
Thanks for having me. So I currently run my own consulting company. I've been doing this for like 8 years or so. We've had, I don't know, 2,000 odd clients. And I kind of want to get more into the app side of things and building our own apps because one, like we have hundreds of clients who use our Google spreadsheets and all of those. So I wanted to like make those a lot better, but also so we can have some like real data and actually start selling, and then we can transition into this business more so. And that's more of a focus, and it's more enjoyable because we want to build tools that support people more than just because at the moment it's just information that we're giving and support and stuff like that. So we want to be able to what we like to call is like scale human as well, because I'm only one person. My business partner is my brother, and we have a couple people on the team as well. So we want to be able to scale more of our information, more of our knowledge, and give it to more people, and make it accessible, make it simple and easy, so people can make decisions and grow their business as much as possible. Essentially, that's our goal.
Wow, fantastic! And so just would love to know what made you bring to Databutton for the first time? Like, how did you come to know about Databutton, and how did this building start? Yeah.
Yes, I'm originally from Australia. I live here in the US, and I was home in December with my friend Reese, and he he's built a few things on Databutton. He showed me, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I went home that night and started playing with it, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And I was able to build a product and launch it within, I think I started on like December 5th or 6th, and I launched it on January 3rd or 4th or so. So about a
Wow,
month.
so it's about a
Yeah.
month then.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been quicker. I just wanted to kind of get it right, and then as soon as I launched it, it did really well. So we had 20 users in the first day or so.
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. And where did you first launch it? I mean, you built it and then you launched over Product Hunt or any other platform?
No, I didn't so all of that world, the product hunts, GitHub, all of that stuff, I never knew about, right? That's just not me at all. I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm kind of learning all of it. If you said the words like LLM and MCP to me, a couple months ago, I would have just called you a nerd and walked out of the room. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know any of this stuff, but it just I started building and started playing with it and was able to build some cool things.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I think you're a really good example of a non-technical person like myself, who actually builds stuff on Databutton that people use. So why don't you give a quick screen share and show us what you built?
Well, the first thing that I built is we have courses and we have information products that are hosted on other sites like School, Kajabi, all of those. And one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to own our own, be able to control the distribution, but be able to control the user experience. By controlling much of the user experience is that we mean we are in control of the relationship, and we can do things with them to fix that and to make sure that we're keeping customers as much as possible, because the game isn't always acquiring customers. It's keeping them, right? Keeping them for longer, because that's where you can really scale. So I built this site, and it's essentially all of our courses, all of the best information that we have, all in one central place. And then I wanted to integrate AI with it as much as possible. So once someone signs up and logs in, they agreed with this. And so this is where this is kind of their hub of everything. They can resume their course content. So it tracks all of their course content progress. We actually have on the back end that I haven't deployed yet. It's kind of streaks and how many times they've logged in, stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool feature. It keeps people accountable because you want them, coming back and getting that dopamine hit. And then also we have, this is AI, but it's more so like logic. And when people get onboarded, is they fill out a form and it'll showcase, these are the like big things that we focus on with our clients. Is they can scale, like, oh, my offer isn't very good, I'm not very good at lead generation. They can change those, and then they'll get recommendations on what to watch based on the metrics that they've provided. And they can go, okay, we need to improve in sales, so you can just click it and you can come right in and you can watch all of the sales content that we have available for them. And as you can see, you can mark it complete and it'll update your progress, and all of the information's right there. We even have like resources that they can access as well, right there within the app.
Nice. And you also have a KPI tracker, right?
Yeah, so this is the main thing that I really love is, as I said to you guys before, is like one thing I always say to clients and anyone who I'm working with is like, there's no shame in not hitting your goals, just not knowing why. Because if you're not taking the actions to hit your goals, then you're obviously not going to hit them. So we wanted to ensure and keep people accountable to hitting their goals. So we've always used KPI trackers throughout our business, mostly on like Google Sheets and stuff like that. And so I wanted to make so people can actually, instead of worrying about like pressing buttons to track their metrics, it just automatically tracks it. And so we built this. I think I started building it in January. No, maybe like February. And then we launched it start of March, I believe. So Skip the MBA, I think, is doing like 2,500 a month. And this is doing maybe 1,000 or so a month. But we're still, like, I haven't really pushed it too much. I've just, I just wanted to make sure I've got everything right before I really start pushing it.
I'm just curious, like, have you built this entire thing yourself, or you have a team of developers who are working on these two projects, or is it all by yourself?
No, well, I have my brother's my business partner, and he like helps with some things. He's definitely way more technical than me. Like, my focus is sales and marketing, but I've 95% built this app myself, just with Databutton. Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah.
And so, what's next? Like, how do you plan to market it further? Is there any plans with this, or you still have more to build in this?
So I was actually today was finalizing just like some minor tweaks and cleanups where fully launched, like we have users. I haven't like marketed it through my socials and stuff, but I will start really pushing it now because it's ready to go. I just, every single day I think of a new feature and want to add it, but I've just got to control myself and not do that. Just focus on the sales side. So yeah, that's the thing.
Cool, man.
So
All right, Avar, should we go get started with the MCP build?
Yeah.
Can you give an introduction about what it is, and what we're going to build today for Jason?
All right. So I think it was yesterday we launched MCP over Product Hunt. We did pretty well out there. It was in the second, if I'm not wrong, and we got a lot of quite of upvotes there. So thank you everyone who has supported us. So it's fantastic, and it's something only Databutton right now has done it in its product itself. We're the very first one to do this. MCP is from Anthropic. It's a model context protocol, and we wanted to integrate it within Databutton. And it was mainly because it opens a lot of possibilities, a lot of potential to connect to the agents and get access to Databutton app. So when I say MCP, it's more of you are converting in Databutton, at least I'm speaking in that perspective, is you are converting Databutton's backend into, you're wrapping it up into a lot of tools, which is deployed in a server. So in Databutton, we take care of building this custom MCP tools and also the deployment part. And then it's available as an MCP server. And then you have your own, let's say, your own agent, which can be Claude or Cursor, any other agentic framework, which you can access. You can access this MCP server, the available tools via this agent, and which can be Claude Desktop, which I was planning to show a quick demo today.
Is it correct that if I have a CRM built in Databutton, then I can enable MCP and then I can have Claude add and remove and change data in the CRM? Is that correct?
Let's say you have a CRM built with your own data, which can be your Superbase database, it can be your Firebase data store, or it can be your Airtable, and you can literally uh, deploy it as MCP server over the MCP server, that particular backend, that API, and then you can talk to it from your Claude. So if you go to databutton.com/MCP, we have at least one template now, which is more of a playground, not a template. But this is just a way to quick start your journey with MCP in Databutton. And you will see that you can access a lot of predefined tools, which I was mentioning about. It's more like a server with available tools, which we'll see now. So this is more of a playground which we can build. And that's what I was planning, to build a backend which I deploy over MCP server and try to interact with. Yeah. So I just
So
fired the.
what is Databutton doing right now?
So right
After
now,
you
data
click
button,
the
it's just when you click the start with, it's just generating its workspace now. And once it generates, you can actually talk with this MCP server, which is pre-built, which comes along with it. It just takes few 30 seconds or something to build the entire workspace. So it's just creating a new app actually. So it generated the workspace for us. And now let's say I continue with this task. Yeah, let's yeah, let's implement. So this is the first part, is more about implementing the OpenAI API tool, which is your OpenAI a chat interface which you want to enable. And that's mainly because we have this playground already, which is coming up with the template. And when I say the playground which is coming with template, that means we have a playground or a mimic environment which is mimicking the main MCP server, where we have all these tools out here. And to interact with this particular playground, we just need to add, let's say, an open API key, so that we can just start chatting with that. That's how it comes pre-built with. And when I say the tools which I mentioned before, it comes from this backend. So each of this backend has a router. These routers are nothing but kind of an endpoint of a backend. So this calculator has different router name, which is add, subtract, multiply, or divide, and we can just go on adding more backends. But whenever we add backends, there are different routers, and these routers are now act as a MCP, as a tool which is available in the MCP server when you deploy it. So that's how essentially it works. So I'm just adding my OpenAI API key. Data button will just go through it. It will store back in the secrets, if I'm not wrong. Here it store it. So it's like a secure environment where we store all the API keys or secrets, whatever you have. It says that once you confirm the chat is working, we can mark this task as completed. So it says that now our OpenAI API key is securely added. It's updated with a welcome message to guide you using the chat interface, which I was speaking about in the playground. So if I just go back to the home page, here's our playground. We're still working on this UI part of the playground, but I think it's good enough. So I'll say, hey, can you let me know about the check health? When I ask about this tool, it just tells me what this tool is about. So this check health tool is used to check the health of your application. It returns the code base and the response, how it should be. It just gives me the details of this particular tool, which is within one of this API, one of this backend, let's say. And let's say if I want to say,
nice.
hey, yeah, I'll just quickly add one more example. I would like to add 2 plus 5 using the add numbers tool. And let's see if it could. Yeah. So it used the this add number tool, and it performed the task. But the best part is, if I just open here, and when I say it's mimicking the MCP environment, that means it first send the message to the chat, this endpoint where it first sends it, and this is the environment which is responsible to mimic the MCP server. If I open this code, you will see, like, okay, we're not going in details of it, but it's using the MCP server, the main backend out there. It's everything out there. And the next part is important. So one call triggers two endpoints. One of them is the chat, and then the add. And this add is nothing but the available tool which is present within this mimicked MCP server or the playground. So this first starting template is nothing but to make sure that all your tools which you are generating should work in your MCP server.
Yeah,
Perfect.
good.
So let's build something much more uh, like which we can use it. So I was thinking of using JSON's. Okay, let's create a new backend which can access my uh, yeah Google spreadsheet via, let's say, I'm just prompting it pretty explicitly via request library, because I know that. So let's create a new backend which can access my Google spreadsheet via the request library, which is a Python library to get access to any URL or something. It says that it create a new task and create a new API endpoint that authenticate with Google Sheets. Uh, let's just create an endpoint which accepts URL like this and scripts the data saying request. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. And now it's writing a code for us. It's writing. Let's.
Can you explain now what you just did and how it'll change the MCP playground?
So it created this new backend. If you see out here, this is a new backend. It wrote this entire Python code out here, which reads the data from public Google Sheet using provided URL. The endpoint converts Google Sheets URL to export URL, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on, and it returns the data from here. So I asked Databutton that you create a backend or an endpoint which will accept a URL, Google spreadsheet URL, and return the data. Technically, you can build any complicated endpoint as well. You can create something with Airtable. You can create something with, let's say, if you want to connect your Supabase or Firebase, those database, you can just create something like that as well. So this has a endpoint such as read, and you see this read Google Sheet comes up. It's a new additional tool which is now available in this particular playground. We got some error here, but let's try to let's test the sheets endpoint. But we have to make sure that this endpoint is working. By the way, I see
And
some
Jason,
questions.
can you explain the MCP build Google Sheets that you have? What is in that data?
It's just tracking all of the different metrics over the last, I think it's just over the last week, like between our activity metrics. So I don't think there's any sales in there because it's test data, but it's like our DMs on Twitter, DMs on LinkedIn, comments, posts, and then like calls booked and closes.
Yeah.
And can you explain what the end goal of this MCP is going to be? Like,
So
what are we working towards?
yeah, so we are working towards making this endpoint into and deploying this endpoint to our MCP server. And once we deploy that, we would love to access this data via Claude Desktop. So we won't work in Databutton. Of course, we can build a front end and all, but our end goal is how to make it much more easier for people who wants to automate this entire process. I think it worked now, but I made few changes in the code, but it worked now. Perfect.
Mm,
So it did work here.
nice.
And now so the backend works. So that means when I ask Databutton, by the way, this is also something which Databutton is really good in testing your fast API routers. So I just want to highlight this part because it's super powerful. And I think as a tool, this gets very powerful is Databutton. All right. So I'll just go back to the question. Manuel says that. Sorry if my question makes no sense. Could I use this to get information into my web app? Is it mail, Slack, etc.? I'm thinking how to enable my user instead of login and user. Yeah, it's something which is very much use this to get information. Yeah, it's something which is very much possible. So how to say? So if I remember correctly, I have this build this MCP, which is not fetching information but sending information to emails. We can do that also. I already have something I can quickly paste the code and show you, but I think it's also over our YouTube channel. So I think I use something called as Recent. This is very good, a very useful Python tool. And if I remember correctly, Recent Python SDK. And the agent is very good in working with Recent Python SDK. So if I just go here, just copy and paste this entire code to agent and say that, can you build this particular backend for me? It will just do it, or you can just yourself copy it. Make sure to have your API key, and you can just paste it, and you can send emails from there. So Agno is a Python library who are really good in building Agno Python. They branded themselves as Agno now, but they have all these tools. So Ben, you might be interested on this as well. So they use Composio, they use cal.com. So all these uh, tools which you need to work with agents are available there with very few lines of code out here. So you can just use them. CSV, Firecrawl, GitHub, Google Calendar. Out here comes. And when I was saying that, it's very difficult to work with Google because they have all these steps. Enable Google Calendar, go to their API service, select user type, select scope. You have to do all this step before enabling Google Calendar or any Google services. You have to make sure you do all these steps and then use this example code, which is Agno. So you can use all this Python library, and all you do is in data button build a endpoint like this. And now I'll just go back directly to our app. I think it's deployed. And what I would do is I will just start Claude here and overall returns. Okay, and I will just quickly go to settings. I'll go to developer. I will go to, so I went to Claude settings, developer, edit config key, open this new file, which is opening in my other screen now. Or oh, it's open in this screen, sorry. And now I just remove this entire thing. I copied last time the code snippet, I pasted it here, and I save it here, and I close it, and I close this, and I close this, and I would also close. Yeah, maybe I'll just close from here, quit it. Technically, if you hit the command R, it's good enough, but I just wanted to make sure that everything is closed. I reopen Claude now. All right, so it's reloading all the MCP config file. If I now check this, it shows all the tools which is available, all the tools, and MCP query stream, multiply number, power number, subtract number. Let's see if our tool is there. We add it from here, and that's the endpoint. So just to recap quickly, whatever you see out here, it's within the playground. Just to make sure that we have our backend ready, we have our endpoints working, uh, and this is just a playground to make sure that those are working. But the real work starts when it is accessible via our Claude. So we want to make sure that Claude has access to this. And how it's getting accessible? Because we are deploying it. And anytime if I create another new backend, I have to deploy that as well. So once I deploy and once I go to configure MCP, I copy this entire stuff and then I paste it here. This comes here. That means that tool is available. Now I will show you why Claude is way better. That's what I felt. It's very early days, but if I ask Claude, what MCP tools do you have? Now Claude will go through all the MCP tools. So I'm using Databutton's backend, which is exposed as MCP server. So Databutton's API is now available as MCP server. Once we click the deploy, it's now available to Claude. And now Claude says allow tool from Databutton app.local. That means it is accessing Databutton app local. And I will allow for this chat, and you see like it's running MCP list tools, which is nothing but out here MCP tools. And if I go back here, it's running all of them. It telling me the MCP tools available are add number, subtract number, multiple, data retrieval. So all these are available here. All right, so let's use the fetch spreadsheet with this URL, and here I will put Jason's fantastic uh, data obtained from his app, and I will ask Claude to fetch it for me. And you see how powerful Claude is here, which OpenAI was failing every time. And it knows which tool to use. It says run fetch spreadsheet from Databutton dash app. I say allow for this chat. It's now under the hood running that backend which we created back in Databutton, and it's running the entire thing. It says I have successfully fetched the spreadsheet data. The spreadsheet contains social media outreach track activity track daily from April 1st to 7th. So it just asks you to create a nice table.
Is it creating a visual front end now, or would that
Yes.
be? Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it just has all of them.
Yeah,
Not
that's
bad.
cool. They've organized it
Nice.
really well.
Yeah. Can we have some nice plots maybe?
And what's the plot exactly?
Nice plots, just to visualize it. Listen, what do you think about these visuals? I mean, it will be super useful, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty good. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what we have in the app as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
is it possible to also add data to the spreadsheet?
That's possible, but I didn't add that function back there. So
Hmm.
so it is very much possible. So right now, whenever it calls fetch data, there should be add data. So I didn't add that actually.
The use case here is if this spreadsheet is updated automatically based on some
Mm-hmm.
other data, then you can get an email sent to you every day or
Yeah.
by command in Claude and
Yeah.
get the data in your email, right?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, you can just make the entire operations in Claude. So you can just ask Claude that, hey, I think I have some new data in my spreadsheet which is connected to my app. Can you just go there? Like Jason can ask it. Can you just check how the data is today? Can you see how much of sales I had via Twitter or LinkedIn? And it shows you the entire operations.
Nice.
I have a connected through Zapier. Is so I have like Twilio, which is the text message thing. So I have built my own like phone number on Twilio, and so I would like as I said while I'm driving, so I would say, hey, Siri, can you what is my Twitter stats for the day? And it would text, and then it goes through Zapier. Then ChatGPT will determine the data and like interpret it back, and then it will send me back a text message with. So for Twitter today, you've done this amount, this amount. It looks like you need to improve this to hit your goals of XYZ, which is my goal set for the month. And so
Wow.
probably using it with like Claude would be better, just because ChatGPT is like this was all too difficult. Like I'm just like taking the data, putting in a sheet, Zapier back to text message. This would be much more native and easier.
I think that's a very good use case for MCP.
Mhm.
To be honest, I mean you can add this Twilio. Twilio is, I think, for people who are using Twilio's Python package, which is something for sending messages, sending voice messages, if I'm not wrong, even sending emails like that, and it's a very good use case
Yeah.
for using this MCP. All right, so I'll just quickly discuss about this part. I asked Databutton now to create a new endpoint, which is called as send, which send emails basically, and now it has already added here. But data button says that please provide a recent API key, because to avail this service I need to provide, I'm using something called as recent as the Python package which just got installed here. And if someone who's using data button for the first time, or someone who's using uh, very first time, just good to know that all your packages are under settings packages. You can see all the available packages, all the Python packages. And if you're someone interested about secrets, is under the secrets.
Let's try the email now and see if how it
Hmm.
works.
Yeah, it just need to get deployed. If it's deployed, I think I just need to restart it. That's all, and hopefully it will work. I didn't test it in the playground, by the way. I was just like, yeah, hopefully it will work. And now if I go back here, and I'll just start a, let's say, can I just yeah, if I do this, and I'll just command R, we should have We shall have the 11th one. So
Nice.
that means we have a new send email. We have a new one, but I don't know if this works or not. But we have it access, so Claude can access it now. Okay, so let's say, can you fetch the data from the Google spread sheet of JSON? Yeah, so let's try it. I'm trying to send an email to myself, and this is the part where it's very powerful for Claude because it can write. It's very good in text generation. We all know by now. And now it says that I want to. It wants me to allow this, allow send email, allow for this chat. It's writing an entire email for me. It says the email is successfully sent. I'm now opening my email in this other one. All right, here we go. How does this look?
Nice.
It came 0 minutes ago. Here we go. It's like Jason's recent activity dashboard overview. Hi, Avro. I want to share a summary of Jason's outreach and social media activity for the first week of April. And see, it's formatted so nicely. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's kind of something that we're trying to build because I mean I'm sure you know is like Skype when they first launched. Not that they're a good use case because you know they went out of business, but one of the ways that they grew significantly was through like email. This email was sent through Skype and stuff like that. And so this sort of thing is really good to send to users or people that you want to share with, and then you have your link to your product there. And this is perfectly formatted as well. So that's excellent.
It's really good. I mean,
Yeah.
we use this what is called the recent, and the way it formatted it. I think that's hidden now, but the way here it formatted the entire thing for us. It actually wrote a HTML code if I'm not wrong.
Who did the
Fantastic.
email come from? What's the domain?
It's called onboardingrecent.dev. It's called Acme. I don't know. It's
Did
I
it
know
just
from
make that up, or is that yours?
yeah
Or
yeah because here in
wow,
the mailer here in the mailer when I said data button that can you let's look at this. I said, can you create a new endpoint? I just sent a few code, which I took from the documentation, and then it wrote this entire code here, and it understood my reasoning of making this endpoint. So it made sure that it named it as Acme onboarding at the recent .dev, and it now gave a format. So this is the entire backend, and yeah,
so who like resend? Is that like a domain that you own, or like the resend.dev? Because the deliverability was perfect.
yeah, email for developers.
Okay.
It's an email for developer, the best way to reach humans instead of spam folders. So it's a very common use
Hmm.
case of a lot of developers who use
Mhm.
recent. It's something very popular. So you can just create
Wow,
use any services which
that's
is
crazy.
available, and that's why it's very powerful in a way. Like you are giving Claude power to access different tools,
Hmm.
which is not only a web search, it's beyond the web search. You can just send emails, search Airtable, do some heavyweight computation because that will run here in data button because we have this backend here. That's what it's leveraging. So you're just giving a
Amazing.
full power to Claude to do all this computation, and then you do your entire automation. It was fantastic to have you, man, and
Of
thanks for
course,
sharing your app and the entire business which you're building. It's
of
really nice
course.
to see that.
Appreciate you guys. We'll speak soon.
All right. Yeah.
Cheers,
All
man.
right. See you
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.